So, just general thoughts about these guys that you
Well, it's been fun to watch. I mean, I watched a couple of the games in a row there on TV. I've been in meetings and then traveling, and I think we can make strides and play better. I think we did today. Certainly encouraged by a lot of the things that these guys can do individually, but a lot of them have a long way to go.
What encourages you about Jayson Tatum?
He knows how to play. He can put the ball in the basket. He's had some things that I think have been good eye openers for him too, because this league is tough, and whether it's people getting up underneath him, really playing him physically. Figuring out what shot is the best shot to take at that time, and then just finding his spots. Those are all things that you learn over time. I've been really encouraged by his defensive play, and that's something that with his length and ultimately as he builds more strength should be a positive.
Ante, just general thoughts on him?
Yeah. So I thought part of Ante's struggles in the first few games were because we were putting him in bad spots. I talked to the team a little bit when I got here about, if Ante's got his guy sealed on the block, we have to throw him the ball. If Ante's rolling to the rim, don't throw it at his ankles, put it up in the air. And then you saw Demetrius, threw a nice lob pass today and delivered it, and he dunked it. He does a good job, even if you throw a floater up there, of staying in the play and trying to get the rebound. But, it's hard to come in and all of a sudden you've been a roller and a post player your whole life, and we're throwing you the ball at 27 feet and trying to be Al Horford. That's not who he is. Nor will, we ask him to be that.
So, but otherwise, he seems to have...
He's getting more comfortable every day.
Yeah.
I think he looks gassed, personally. I think that his long year ended June, whatever, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, whatever it was. And he traveled over here on the 26th and started practice. I think he'll benefit more from the next month than anybody else on our team.
Jaylen said, one thing Jaylen said recently that he told him he would probably spend more time guarding 1s and 2s this year. What is the reasoning behind that?
I just think if you look at obviously there's all kinds of roster movement and change and all those things, much of which I can't talk about. But he's a guy that can do that, and the more positions that he can guard, the more flexible we can be. He didn't spend a ton of time on 1s this year, but certainly he guarded 2s quite a bit as the season went on. And he had that stretch in the middle of the year when he was starting where we were just throwing him on guys just to throw him on guys and give him experience. And so hopefully all that stuff pays off. He's a good enough athlete to guard a number of positions, and now he's a year in. He should be more familiar with how our defensive system works.
Do you think Jayson also has the potential to have that flexibility?
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously Jaylen is. I think Jaylen at 19 is a little bit more body ready, than most 19-year-olds, and probably any 19-year-olds, right? But Jayson is plenty strong enough to play right now. It's just a matter of getting into the feel for the defensive end of the floor, how we like to play, and then figuring out offensively where your shots and opportunities are going to come from. Like summer league's great, right? Because you get a chance to do things that. You get the ball in crunch time and all those other things, but some of those roles are going to be much different once the season really starts. And so, you find out where your spots are going to be, and hopefully that happens sooner rather than later.
Semi was kind of a steal in the second round. How do you?
Yeah, I think what he's doing translates. That's the thing with Shemi. Shemi is. I didn't know coming in that he could be matched up on 5s for possessions because of his leverage and his strength. But I thought one of the biggest key to winning the Lakers game was him guarding Zubac and stretching Zubac out. So his flexibility defensively is going to be enormous. I mean, I think that he will compete to be one of our better defenders right out of the gate.
Right. You talk about Avery losing.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that stuff or not, but I'll you know, when I am, I will for sure.
I mean, I know that's been announced.
Yeah,
as opposed to other things.
Obviously, and just generally, you know, we've had we have a lot of change, right? And that's a really it's a tough part of this when you are around people every day, and you grow a great affinity for them and what they were able to do and grow, and ultimately how good of players not only he was, but you know, Kelly and you know, other guys that won't be back on our team. So that's a tough part of this. But you know, certainly, you know, I have a great affinity for all those guys.
It had to be a hard conversation with him, man.
So I mean, it's yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Given the changes you guys have made, what will training camp be like?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to, you know, there's going to be a transition. There's no question about it. It's going to take some time to all come together and get to playing, you know, at the level we want to play at. There's got to be a lot of learning each other on the fly. And, you know, probably not doing ourselves any favors from the standpoint the season starts earlier this year. So training camp's going to be expedited, and we're going to have to be on it. Yeah, he's fine. He bruised his hip is what I was told, nothing long term. I don't know what that means for, well, I guess we play Thursday now, is that what I'm hearing? So it better be 110%, otherwise you won't see him Thursday.
Do you want Jayson to play the rest of the way?
I mean, Jason's going to play as long as he's okay. Because I think the experience is good for those guys. But if anybody has anything nearing an issue that could be lingering, we'll sit them down.
When you're watching these games, how are you maybe watching them differently than you have in the past? Because you know that some of these young guys have to be a part of this team this season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't say anything during the games. I'll watch it, and then I'll go back into film sessions and occasionally pipe in. I mean, you know, after the Lakers game, I just thought that our decision making was really poor. I didn't think, you know, we were doing things that lead to winning when October, November, December comes around, and you know, so I'm kind of looking at it through a different lens. You know, that, you know, obviously these guys are being asked to do a lot, but we're looking at it for what translates. You know, again, that's why I think that, you know, when we mentioned Shemmy's what he's doing is what he's going to be asked to do. You know, and so that's the challenge for some guys as they move forward.
You have electric athlete coach on Saturday night, of course. It's always great when that rivalry is renewed, really, with the Celtics. Lakers. Your thoughts, your reflections on what
I was on a JetBlue flight, and the TV I had in front of me looked like it was an electric atmosphere. So I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to it. It's pretty cool that I think it talks about where the NBA is, that you have a summer league game and it's sold out prior to the game, and you know, people are jacked up. And my son was here with my dad, and a couple days before I was, and you know, he was talking about it for 2 days. Like, I mean, I'm not sure that I ever really paid attention to summer league games when I was coaching in college. So I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. I think the league's in a great spot.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Brett.
Doubling missing the right post again and was able to play make out of it. Is that really important for you guys this year to be able to do that early on?
Yeah, I mean, he got stripped twice, right? And didn't handle that well. And he's going to have to get used to that. Unlikely that he'll be doubled early on, just because, you know, in the NBA, you've got other guys out on the court too with him that they would be less likely to double. But he's going to have to get used to that because he is a really talented post player. Yeah.
I don't know how you coached Bell